Hello, everyone, and welcome you all to another chapter of the Basic PHP tutorial. So now we are on our chapter number 3, where I'll be showing you guys by writing the HTML code. So in our last class, I do have showed you guys by writing a PHP inside the body of the HTML file. So now over here, I'll be showing you guys about all of that. So let's not waste much time and let's get started. So over here on my screen, as you guys can see, on the left hand side, basically I do have my PHP .php file. And over here on the right hand side, basically I do have the web server which was open. I do have it here on my screen. So now let's try to understand about the HTML which I do have written in our last class. Okay. So to write a PHP inside the skeleton of an HTML file, here you guys can see you need to start this with a lower than sign and a question mark PHP. Then you do have to write all of your code, whatever you do want to write. And after that, you need to close this down with a question mark, then a lower than sign. So you need to open it with a lower than sign, and then you have to close this down with a greater than sign. Okay. So over here now inside anything, if you do want to write or if you do want to print over here in your web server, in that case you need to mention echo, then you have to open your parenthesis, and then you have to open your quotation, and lastly you need to close this down with a semicolon, as you guys can see here how it shows. And also now over here you can also write a lot of thing else. Okay, so now let's come here, and if you just click on enter, I'll just click on tab. I'll just click on tab over here. And also if you do want to type something else, you guys can also do so. So you guys can just type echo, and after typing echo, you guys can just open parentheses. Let's open double quote, and what you guys can do is you guys can come here and you guys can actually put on some tags and all as well. Okay, so over here now, for that, let's go to the h1 tag. Okay, so less than sign h1, h1. Let's close this thing down, and afterwards I will just type my website. Okay, so this is the content I do want to put as my heading. And now what I'm going to do is, again, I do want to close this down. Okay, so H1, and I'll just close this down with a greater than sign. Okay, so let's come here. And now what I'm gonna do is I will just come here, and as this file is not saved, I will just click on Control S to save it. And now over here also, when I run my line of code, okay, as you guys can see, I'll just come here, and you guys can see it showed me an error. Okay, because I don't have my semicolon. So it is very important that you finish every line of yours with a semicolon. Control S to save it. And now again, when I run my code, you guys can see that first over here, I do have my heading, okay, which says my website. Underneath, I do have my hello world. Okay, and on over here, if you do want to create a paragraph, okay, so let's come here and Control C to copy, Control V to paste. And now let's come here and I'll just type P. So less than sign P, greater than sign. Now let's come here and I will just type this is going to be a good website. Okay, so I'll just type this. Now I'll just give it up a space, less than sign P, or I will just close this one. Okay, then I'll just type P and I'll just close this down with the greater than sign. Okay, so now once you are done, Control S to save it. And now if you run this, here you guys can see that first I do have the heading, then I do have this simple word, then I do have a paragraph which I can start over here. Okay. And now one thing also you have to understand that you are writing this one inside a PHP file, but in a Python folder. Okay. Or in a Python skeleton. So now it is actually showing over here in the web server as a Python file. Okay, if you just come here, just right click on the web server, click on view page source, and here you guys can see the page source basically shows you here it doesn't show that you do have a PHP file open. So here you do have written with the command word known as echo, but here in the source page it is not showing you this echo option, and also over here it is just showing you guys the HTML itself. Okay, so over here in the PHP, if you do want to write HTML, just use the echo command. So it will be kind of showing like this, okay? Only the HTML, okay? Because over here in the source page, your program or the web server is not able to understand that you're writing it inside a PHP because you're using this particular command keyword. So I'll just close this thing down. And another thing which is very important to understand as the order of all of this actually matters. Okay, let's say over here, as you guys can see, first I do have the heading, then I do have this simple word, then I do have a paragraph. But now if I just come here, Control X, now let's click on enter. Now let's come on top, tab, Control V. Now let's come here, Control X, and let's click on enter. Let's come here on top. I'll click on tab, Control V to paste. So now if you guys take a look, now this order I do have changed. So first I do have put the hello world, then I do have put out the paragraph, and lastly I do have put on the heading to be written. So over here, once we are working in the type editor, any type editor, we need to understand that in their programming language, the line or the decoding starts in our ascending order, like it starts from 1 2 3 and it goes on. Let's say first the code which are present in line number 1, they will be executed, then line number 2, then 3, and it goes so on. It wouldn't be like 20, line number 20, then line number 19, then line number 18, not in a descending order but in an ascending order. Okay, so now if I just run this, Control S to save this PHP file. Now if I just reload this page, you guys can see now, first I do have the hello world, then I do have the paragraph which says this is going to be a good website, and lastly I do have the heading which says my website. Okay, so that was about it. I hope you guys do have understood that how you can actually work on with the HTML file and how you can write HTML inside a PHP as well. How this order of execution actually matters over here. So let me tell you another thing which you guys should also keep in mind, that over here after writing echo, you guys can see you are using a parenthesis, then you are actually using this double quote, then your code is getting executed. But now you guys need to make sure that you must include the semicolon at last of your each sentence. Okay, then it will understand that this particular line of code is done, then I have to move on to the next line and run this line of code as well. Okay. And sometimes it won't even run, okay, if you don't have proper command. But over here, now necessarily you don't have to put on the parenthesis. Okay, if you just come here and without this parenthesis, let's not put parenthesis on the first line, and instead I will just only put on the quotation. Okay, so I'll just put on the quotation. Let's give it out a space, Control S to save it. And now if I just reload this page, there is no changes at all, because this particular line of code is executed just as same as both of this other line which is just underneath. Okay, so this is how it actually works. And now I hope you guys understand that how you can start writing your HTML file. Okay, and also start writing on your PHP. So in our last class we are going to, or in our last class we have learned about how you can actually write your first line of code. Over here we do have learned in detail about all of these keywords, this echo keyword, this PHP file, how you can start it, how to write a line of code, how all of these codes are executed. And in our next class, we're gonna learn more about this particular language, and we are going to learn all the basic things which we should know or which should keep in our mind while working with the PHP programming language. So see you all. Till then, take care and goodbye, everyone.